Something that surprises a lot of people is that having a 100% probability of success in your retirement plan might actually mean that you're doing it wrong. I'm your host, Eli Freeman, a certified financial planner, and this is Data Brief. So let's look at the data. One of the most common things I see with clients who have around $3 million invested is an obsession with their plan getting to a 100% success rate when we go through planning. They want certainty, they want guarantees, and they want zero risk. And on the surface, that sounds responsible, but in reality, it often leads to something far worse: under-living your life. Monte Carlo simulations are powerful. They test your plan against thousands of different market scenarios and tell you the probability that your money will last. But here's what they don't do well. They don't understand human behavior. They assume that once you set a spending plan, you will follow it exactly. No matter what happens, you have to follow it. No adjustments, no flexibility, and no common sense. And that's just not how people actually live. So let me walk you through a real-world type scenario. I created a hypothetical client. Steven is 60, Sandra's 59, and they've done everything right. They have roughly $3 million invested, $50,000 in cash, $525,000 in a trust, about $2.1 million in IRAs, and $400,000 in Roth IRAs. Steven plans to take Social Security at the age of 70, and Sandra will take her spousal benefit at full retirement age, and they want to retire immediately. Their goals include $8,000 per month for core living expenses, healthcare paid privately until Medicare, $25,000 per year for travel, and new cars every 7 years at $50,000 for each. We run the plan using a globally diversified 50-50 portfolio, earning roughly 6% expected earnings. And the result is a 97% probability of success. For a lot of people, 97% just isn't enough. They immediately ask, how do we get this to 100%? So we start cutting, reduce travel, delay purchases, lower spending, build in more cushion. For example, if we reduce their car purchases from $50,000 to $35,000, their probability jumps to 99%. Problem solved, right? Well, not exactly. Let's take a step back. Why wasn't their plan 100% in the first place? It wasn't because they couldn't afford food, and it wasn't because they couldn't pay for healthcare. It was because of discretionary choices, things like travel, cars, and lifestyle upgrades. In other words, things they can adjust easily if they need to. If your plan only fails because of discretionary spending, then it's not really failing, it's flexible. Instead of asking, how do we get to 100%, we should be asking, what is driving the risk in this plan? Because if the risk comes from things that you can control, then you don't necessarily need to eliminate it. You just need to be aware of it. To further my point, if Steven and Sandra do not have a desire to leave as much money as possible to their beneficiaries, take a look at the screenshot. The number that is in the green bar on the left is $7,700,000. That is how much is left at Sandra's age 95 to leave to their beneficiaries. If they don't have a large legacy goal, then this is actually a planning mistake. So let's flip the scenario. Steven and Sandra told us that travel is extremely important to them. Right now, they're planning on $25,000 per year for travel. But what happens if we increase that to $50,000 per year? Their probability drops from 97% to 91%. And at first glance, that sounds worse. But let's interpret that. That means that in 9 out of 10 scenarios, their plan works perfectly while spending $50,000 a year on travel. And in 1 out of 10 scenarios, they may need to reduce spending. Reduce. Keyword reduced, not eliminate. They are currently planning to spend $25,000 per year on travel because of a 3% risk. But the data shows, the Monte Carlo shows, that they could likely spend $50,000 per year in most scenarios, and they would be perfectly fine. They would only need to adjust if necessary and the market conditions forced it. The real risk isn't running out of money. The real risk is not using your money when you could have, because here's the part that Monte Carlo doesn't show. You don't get to go back. You don't get to rerun retirement. The amount that is left over at the age of 95 is a median amount of roughly $5 million in that scenario. That means they were able to travel twice the amount they anticipated or desired, and still they're able to leave money to their beneficiaries. If your plan depends on fixed, non-negotiable expenses, then yes, a higher probability does matter. But if your risk is driven by discretionary choices, then flexibility is your safety net, and that means you can afford to think a little bit differently. If you're willing to adjust when markets don't cooperate, then you don't need a perfect plan, you need a flexible plan. One that allows you to travel more, give more, enjoy more, because the data often shows that you can. A 100% plan might feel safe, but sometimes it's just a plan that's too small for your life. If you like this type of video, I've done another video on what to do for insurance before you're at the age of 65, and you can click here to view it.